Hey, welcome. Today, we're going to dive into a pretty wild idea, one that kind of goes against everything we hear these days. In a world that's constantly telling you to be louder, to be more visible, we're going to explore this thought that maybe, just maybe, real power is found in the exact opposite. So yeah, let's get into it.
I mean, that's a pretty bold statement, right? It just completely flips the script on what we're all taught about success and influence. The idea that disappearing could actually be a power move? That's exactly what we're going to unpack here.
First, let's just acknowledge the world we're all swimming in. There's this constant, non-stop pressure to be visible, to post, to share, to build your personal brand. We've been sold this myth that how visible you are is directly connected to how valuable you are.
And that's the mantra, isn't it? Your follower count starts to feel like a measure of your influence. The number of likes on a photo feels like a grade on your self-worth. It's this exhausting game, this endless performance, and honestly, it's all built on a pretty shaky foundation. This really gets to the heart of it. On one side, you've got that external validation, the likes, the follows, the shout-outs, and yeah, it feels good for a second, but it's totally fleeting and completely out of your control. But on the other side, you've got internal validation. That's a sense of worth that comes from your own purpose, your own integrity. That's solid. That's real.
So, what's the alternative? Let's pivot to that now. This is where we get into the reality of quiet confidence. It's this idea that real, true strength doesn't need a spotlight. It doesn't need an audience. It's self-contained and, well, it's just sure of itself.
And that brings us to this core concept, quiet power. Now let's be super clear. This is not about becoming a hermit or hiding from the world. Not at all. It's about getting to a place of emotional independence. It's about unhooking your sense of who you are from the wild, unpredictable roller coaster of what other people think.
Okay, but why is this so powerful? What's the secret sauce here? Well, the psychology behind it is actually pretty fascinating. It shows that this kind of power is built on some really solid principles that help you build resilience and a super stable sense of self.
It really rests on three main pillars. You've got intrinsic motivation, self-concept clarity, and this big one, choosing privacy over popularity. Let's break down what each of these actually means.
So, first up is intrinsic motivation. This is all about your why. Why are you doing what you're doing? Is it because you just love the process, or are you doing it for the applause you might get later? See, people with quiet power are driven by the work itself, not the credit for the work. The real joy is in solving the puzzle or making the thing, not just in getting a like for it.
Next is self-concept clarity. The best way to think about this is like having an internal compass that always points to your own true north. When you really know who you are, your values, your goals, you're just not as easily knocked off course by every comment or criticism. You become your own anchor, not a boat getting tossed around by the weather of public opinion.
And the final pillar is choosing privacy over popularity. This is a conscious, strategic choice. It's about recognizing that your time, your focus, your mental energy, these are your most valuable resources. So instead of spending them chasing likes and follows, you invest them in deep work, in real relationships, in your own growth. It's basically an act of self-preservation.
I mean, you can see the two paths so clearly side by side here. Just look at the self-worth column. One is completely dependent on outside feedback, which makes it incredibly fragile. The other is stable, because it's defined from within. That move from chasing praise to pursuing your own purpose, that is the absolute heart of quiet power.
Okay, so this all sounds great in theory, right? But what does it actually look like in the real world? How do we take this idea of quiet power and actually, apply it to our own lives?
And that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Because understanding this stuff is one thing, but actually living it is a whole other ballgame. How do we start building that inner strength when, let's be honest, the whole world is pushing us in the exact opposite direction?
Well, here are a few practical things to think about. First, define what success actually means to you, completely separate from followers or likes. Maybe it's just finishing a project you care about or learning a new skill. Second, try to shift your energy from just documenting your life for everyone to see to actually living and creating within it. And third, be really intentional about your online world. Unfollow accounts that make you feel like you're not enough. Build a feed that inspires you, not one that makes you feel like you have to perform.
So if there's one thing to take away, it's this. The ultimate power move isn't about controlling what other people think of you. It's about getting to a place where you just don't need them to. When you're so grounded in who you are and what you're about, that external validation becomes a nice bonus, not a desperate need. Now that is freedom.
And I want to leave you with this one final thought, a question to really sit with. If you took away the audience, took away the pressure to perform, took away the need for applause, what would you do? What would you build? What would you create just for the pure joy of creating it? The answer to that question, well, that's where your quiet power is waiting for you.